Ex-wife paid me alimony payout, and she's depressed. Hey, True Story, my name is Levi, and I've been a long-time listener of your channel. I've heard so many men's stories, and for the longest time, I figured my life would stay pretty steady, my marriage would be solid, and we'd grow old together. But as life has shown me, none of us are immune to betrayal. I wanted to share my story with you, and hopefully it'll help another man who's sitting in the dark, wondering how he got played by the woman who swore to love him forever. I'll take it from the top because context matters here. I met my ex-wife at a realtor firm about 8 years ago. We were both pretty young at the time, late 20s, ambitious, and hungry to prove ourselves. The firm we worked for was mid-sized, not one of the big national chains, but it had enough name recognition to give us steady clients. She and I started as colleagues, working in the same bullpen of desks, always hustling for leads. She specialized in commercial real estate early on, office parks, warehouses, retail spaces. I gravitated more toward residential because I liked helping families find their homes. It felt personal and meaningful. We used to joke about it all the time. She'd say, "Levi, you're too soft-hearted to be chasing after multi-million-dollar commercial contracts." And I'd laugh and say, "At least my clients actually like me after closing." It was a friendly rivalry at first, but it slowly turned into admiration for one another. We spent a lot of late nights in that office, finishing up paperwork, cold calling, doing whatever it took. One night, after a long day of the showings, we went out for drinks with the rest of the team. That's when sparks really flew. We talked more openly, less about business and more about our lives, our families, dreams, and struggles. By the end of that night, I knew there was something different about her. Not long after that, we started dating. It was easy, convenient, and we had so much in common. The office basically became our second home, so it wasn't surprising to anyone when we went public with our relationship. Fast forward about 2 years and we got married. For the first few years, marriage felt good. We were what you'd call a power couple in our little circle. 2 realtors with different specialties, both doing well, driving nice cars, renting a decent townhouse, and going on weekend trips whenever we could. And then came the friend group. This is where the story gets ugly. We fell in with 2 other couples, all of us around the same age. One couple, I'll call them Mark and Jenna, the other, Ryan and Claire. We all met through open houses, networking events, and mutual friends in the business world. Before long, weekends were reserved for the 6 of us. We'd rotate houses, have drinks, play board games, watch sports, hit the bars, sometimes even rent cabins for the weekend. It was fun, and honestly, I thought it was healthy for our marriage. I thought, we've got a good social circle, good balance. But what I didn't know was that behind the laughter and the casual hangouts, betrayal was brewing. My ex-wife started sleeping with Mark. Yes, one of the husbands from that group. And the part that still stings is that it wasn't some long, torrid affair that got out of control. It was 2 occasions, just enough for her to cross the line, betray me, and throw a grenade into 4 lives. I found out in the most pathetic way possible, through a Text Now number. For those who don't know, Text Now is one of those apps where you can create a fake number and text people without it showing up on your real phone bill. One night, she left her phone unattended while she was in the shower. A notification popped up, but it wasn't a regular iMessage or text. It was from that app. My gut told me to look, and I did. What I saw hit me like a brick to the chest. Messages back and forth, some flirty, some explicitly referring to the 2 times they hooked up. Her saying things like, "No one can know," and him saying, "It was good but risky." The part that really burned was her telling him, "We have to keep it light. Levi can't know, and Jenna would kill me." She knew damn well what she was doing, and she tried to cover it by saying they were joking. Joking about hooking up, joking about keeping secrets, joking about sneaking around behind two spouses' backs? Please. When she got out of the shower, I confronted her right then and there. She went pale, started stuttering, then tried to gaslight me. Levi, it's not what you think. We were just messing around. It wasn't serious. But I had the text right there. There's no mistaking that kind of language. I didn't explode, though. I kept calm, and that's what shocked her. Because while my heart was breaking inside, my brain was already going a mile a minute. I thought, okay, what's my next move? The next move was telling the truth to the people who deserved to know. I went straight to Jenna, his wife. I showed her everything. She broke down crying, and I swear I could see the life drain out of her face. She thanked me for telling her, and I told her I was sorry I even had to. That couple didn't survive. They divorced shortly after, and she and I actually stayed in touch for a while just for moral support. I also told Ryan and Claire because our whole friend group was built on lies at that point. That blew up the dynamic completely. What used to be our happy little circle of 6 turned into a wasteland. No more game nights, no more bar hopping, just wreckage. As for my marriage, I knew it was over the second I saw those messages. Even if it was only twice, it was twice too many. Cheating is a choice, not an accident. And it wasn't just the act itself. It was the sneaking, the lies, the fake number, the pretending everything was normal when we were all hanging out together. That's cold, calculated, and cruel. Now here's where things took an unexpected turn. See, around that same time, I had lost my job at the firm. Long story short, I got blamed for a deal falling apart that wasn't even my responsibility. The higher-ups needed a scapegoat, and I was it. My ex-wife knew it wasn't my fault, and she stood by me for a while. I went back to school, retrained as a machine operator, and I'm actually glad I did. It gave me stability, but during that time, I was technically unemployed. So when I went to see a lawyer about the divorce, he told me something that made my jaw drop. He said, Levi, you might be entitled to alimony, at least as a one-time payout. At first, I laughed. Me? Taking alimony? That felt strange. But then I thought about it. Why not? She was the one who cheated. She was the one who destroyed our marriage. She was still working at the firm, still making good money in commercial real estate, while I was between careers. Why should I walk away empty-handed? So I went for it. My lawyer was aggressive, laid out all the evidence, and pushed for a settlement. In the end, she had to pay me a one-time alimony payout. Let me tell you, signing those papers was the most satisfying revenge I could have gotten. Not yelling, not smashing things, not some dramatic scene. Just calmly walking away with money from the woman who thought she could betray me and come out unscathed. And here's the kicker. She's depressed now. That firm isn't the same. The friend group is gone. Her reputation with Jenna and others is trashed. She tried dating after the divorce, but word gets around in our circle, and men don't trust her the way they used to. Meanwhile, I'm doing just fine. Machine operator work is steady, pays well, and best of all, I'm free. No kids tied us together, thank God. I can move on clean. Sometimes I think back to those early days in the office. The long nights, the jokes, the excitement of building a future together, and I wonder how it all soured. But then I remember, she made her choice, and I made mine. So here I am, Levi, another man with a true story to tell. Thanks for reading this, and thanks for giving guys like me a platform. If one man out there hears this and realizes he doesn't have to stay in a toxic marriage, that he can get out and rebuild, then it's worth it. Ex-wife is now with the man she cheated with. Hey, true story. It's Levi again, back with follow-up, but life has a funny way of throwing curveballs just when you think the story is finished. After I shared my first email about how my ex-wife cheated on me with a so-called friend in our little group and ended up paying me alimony after our divorce, I figured that was the end of it. She was depressed, our social circle was shattered, and I was finally starting to rebuild my life. But just recently, I found out something that made my stomach twist in ways I didn't even think were possible anymore. My ex-wife is in a relationship with the very man she cheated with. Yep, she doubled down on her betrayal and decided to make it official. And I didn't hear this through rumors or some vague social media post. I heard it straight from Jenna, his ex-wife. I'll walk you through how I found out because the way it unfolded felt like something out of a movie. A few weeks back, I got a text from Jenna. Mind you, she and I hadn't really spoken in a while. After everything blew up with our marriages, we kept in touch here and there for moral support. We had long conversations in the early days when everything was fresh, sharing the pain, talking about how to get through the sleepless nights, wondering how two people we trusted could betray us like that. But over time, as people do, we drifted apart. I went back to school, got steady in my new career, focused on myself. She did the same in her own way. So when her name popped up on my phone, I wasn't sure what to expect. Her message was short. "Levi, do you have time to talk? I need to tell you something." I called her right away. Her voice was calm but heavy, like she had been carrying something around for a while. She asked if I'd meet her for coffee, and I agreed. Part of me was curious, and another part of me just thought maybe she needed to vent. When I saw her at the cafe, it was strange, familiar, yet distant. We both had that look people get after going through hell and coming out the other side, not broken, but changed. She gave me a small smile, and we hugged like two war buddies who had survived the same battlefield. After we sat down and ordered, she got straight to it. "They're together, Levi," she said. I didn't even have to ask who she meant. My chest tightened, but I kept my face neutral. "Your ex-wife and Mark," she continued. "They're a couple now. I found out a month ago. A friend of mine saw them out together, holding hands, acting like they've been together forever. I wouldn't have believed it if I didn't see it myself later. But it's real. They're really doing this." I sat there for a second staring at my coffee, letting it sink in. And then I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was so absurd. These two people destroyed not one, but two marriages, tore apart a whole friend group, left nothing but ashes in their wake. And instead of crawling back into the shadows with their shame, they decided to make their dirty little fling into a full-blown relationship. I asked Jenna how she felt about it, and she said something that hit me hard. At first I was furious. I thought, of course they're together. They deserve each other. But then, after the anger settled, I realized I actually felt relieved, because it confirmed something I had always suspected. They didn't just ruin our marriages for nothing. They were selfish, yes. They were reckless, yes. But now they have to live with the consequences of building a relationship on lies and betrayal. And I wouldn't wish that kind of foundation on anyone. We talked for hours. We shared updates on our lives, the good and the bad. She told me about how she struggled after the divorce, not just financially, but emotionally. She said she questioned her own worth, wondered if she had missed red flags with Mark, if maybe she had failed as a wife. I reassured her that none of this was her fault, and she told me the same about my situation. It was oddly healing, sitting across from someone who knew exactly what I had been through, because she lived the mirror image of it. At one point, she leaned in and said, "Levi, do you ever think about how we could have ended up as friends if it wasn't for them?" And I knew exactly what she meant. We were casualties of their war, tied together by pain we didn't ask for. And now, sitting there, we were two survivors comparing scars. But let me tell you a true story. Finding out they're together brought up a storm inside me. On the one hand, I wanted to rage. I wanted to shout, "How dare they?" On the other hand, I almost felt vindicated, because now the world can see who they really are. There's no hiding it, no pretending it was just a joke or just 2 times. They're together now, and everyone knows exactly how that relationship started. I don't envy them. In fact, I pity them. Because when you build something on a foundation of betrayal, cracks are inevitable. Maybe it'll last a while. Maybe they'll even fool themselves into thinking they found love. But deep down, they'll always know how it began. She'll always know she betrayed me. He'll always know he betrayed Jenna, and that's a stain they can't wash out. As Jenna and I sat there, we couldn't help but talk about the what ifs. What if we had seen the signs earlier? What if we had never joined that friend group? What if we had walked away sooner? But the truth is, hindsight doesn't change the past. It only teaches you lessons for the future. For me, the lesson is clear. Betrayal reveals character. My ex-wife showed me who she really was, and so did Mark. And instead of clinging to the ruins, I got out. I moved on, and I rebuilt. That's something to be proud of. Jenna and I ended that coffee meeting on a positive note. We agreed to stay in touch more consistently, not because of the past, but because we actually enjoy each other's company. It's strange. Our exes thought they were so clever, sneaking around thinking they were living some passionate, forbidden romance. But in the end, they might have pushed us into a friendship that neither of them would have wanted. In a way, that's poetic justice. Since then, I've thought a lot about how I feel about my ex-wife being with him. Honestly, I don't care in the way I used to. The pain is dull now, more like a scar than an open wound. Sure, it stings when I picture them together, but it doesn't own me. It doesn't define me. What defines me is how I came out of this storm. I rebuilt my career, found peace in my own life, and even managed to find humor in the fact that the woman who once thought she could do better than me is now tied to the very man who destroyed her reputation. If that's not karma, I don't know what is. So, true story, that's my update, Levi's saga. Life keeps unfolding, and I figured I owed it to myself, and maybe to your listeners, to share this chapter too. If any man out there is listening and discovers his wife is cheating, let me tell you, the pain will feel unbearable at first, but give it time, heal, rebuild. One day you'll look back and realize their betrayal doesn't define you. It defines them. And if they end up together, don't be jealous, don't feel small. Realize they're two snakes coiled together, and all you can do is be grateful you're no longer in the pit with them.